So far, so good. Give me a minute. Let's see. And see where we are. I am on Facebook. I'm just connecting with the Tao of Horsemanship. And let's see.
Okay.
All right, we are live, Eliana.
Yep.
So just know that we are live.
Yeah, I see.
Okay, we're live and we're early. So that's okay. Let me go back to check the Facebook page. It's just the three of us.
Okay, I'm gonna run to let
So were we?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, go right ahead.
I'm listening.
Absolutely, go right ahead.
I can hear you.
Oh, I'm gonna sneeze.
Okay, that's it.
It's COVID. Here, I'll be right back.
Are you still on mute?
Excuse me. No.
That's
Oh my gosh, no.
the new thing. Caroline has COVID.
I had COVID.
Jeez.
You can't even have a cold these days.
No, you cannot.
You can't.
No.
Nothing.
No.
And
And I don't have a cold. That was your piece.
Crazy. Crazy, crazy.
All right. I am back. Okie dokie. So I'm back. We are live. We are early. And so far, so good. And there's a few people already here. So we're going to say hello. Hi, Diane. Hi, Regina. This is great from Washington. And from Ontario, Regina, Eliana, our guest speaker. Eliana, where are you from?
I'm from Quebec,
Canada.
just beside Ontario.
That's right. There you go. So we've got some more people, Canadians. I love it. All right. Well, welcome back to Everything Horses and More weekly podcast. You know who I am, Caroline Bast. I'm your host, and you know who this lovely woman is below me.
Hi, guys.
That's Sabrina Arbogast, my co-host, and the other lovely woman to my left is our guest speaker, Eliana. And how do you pronounce your last name?
Crematy.
Crematy. Okay, awesome. Thank you. Today's topic is about being paralyzed by fear. And so Eliana is going to be talking, sharing her story of her journey back into horsemanship, having horses from a career doing something else, and what that journey was like until she found the mastery membership, until she found me and this work. And the reason why she's going to bring it up is because the path that she was seeking before she found me was going to be her new career path, if I'm correct. And she just realized while she was studying someone else and that it just wasn't working. And so I'll let Eliana go ahead and start with your story, Eliana. Welcome, and tell us like what you did most of your life, where horses were in your life, how you came back to horses. Let's start there.
Okay, sure. Hi, everybody. I started with horses when I was 9 years old, and right there then I knew that they were my best friend. I'm an only child, so no brother, no sister. I connected to them at a different level, but I was always in the barn, never in the class. My instructors were very strict. They were German, and the experience of riding was really, really hard, I have to admit. My father was very strict at home, plus, you know, my teacher was strict. So the only time I could really feel the freedom of being around horses was in the barn. And without realizing it later on, I got that, hey, this is at that level that I want to work with horses. But that took like 40 years or 30 years, maybe not 40, but 30. So make a long story short, horses were always in my life. I rode, I went to riding camp and then did some competition, but very mild, you know. I was kind of, anyways, I was, how do you say? I had a very rough, I was a rough teenager in the sense that I had a difficult youth. a lot of abuse. And so I wasn't concentrating, and my father wanted me to do the Olympics. He hired the best teachers. It wasn't working out. My head wasn't there. I was, experiencing abuse, sexual abuse
Wow.
back then. So make a long story short.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, well, like
Yes.
so many of us, right? Survivors.
Yes. You're not alone. Yes. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Wow.
Yeah. So then I had to go back to work. I even quit university. I wanted to become a criminologist, obviously, to defend people's rights.
Wow.
But I dropped out
Yeah.
again. Little things would affect my life. Little comments that people would say, or either teachers in school or even my bosses, if they would say something that would affect my self-esteem, I would just crumble. I would either leave my job, like my relationships. So it was that pattern, ongoing pattern of running away. But I did build a nice career. I ended up working, nice career for the government. I thought I was going to make a huge difference there. But as a result, I ended up leaving there too. I had an accident at work. I tripped. Anyways, I was working for the Afghanistan task force back then. It was a very serious job, but it was very gratifying in the sense that I really thought I was making a difference. Had an accident at work, ended up being off work, and realized, okay, horses had come back into my life on. And then I became an instructor. I started teaching, but didn't make enough money. So working at the government helped out, but it wasn't for me. It clearly wasn't for me. I mean, it was robotic. It wasn't part of the values that I had inside of me. So I started looking at something else to do with the horses again. And this time it brought me to Arizona. And I did one or two of the workshops in Arizona, the Epona workshops. And of course.
So you were working, did you work directly with Linda Kahana at Epona?
No, I worked with her, one of her assistants, the lady who was managing the center and who was a dressage Olympic rider.
I think that's Carol.
Shelley
Okay.
Rosenberg. Yeah. So.
Shelley. Yep, I've heard of her. Yes.
Yeah. So it was, it was very refreshing to experience Epona coming from the traditional writing.
Yes.
How do you say? Yeah.
So if you people aren't familiar with Epona, hold on real quick. Yeah. Epona, it was created by Linda Kahana, the best-selling international author of the Tao of Equus. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's okay.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
That opened up possibilities. That opened up a whole new world for me. And I knew right then during that workshop, this is what I want to do. I want to connect with horses at a different level. They're my friends. I could feel, I couldn't explain and put words, but I could feel that they were bringing me at a spiritual level, something healing, something soothing. So
yes. Then
the exchange with the American dollar skyrocketed. I don't know why. It's still very high. And
wow. How many years ago was that? How many years ago?
This was 6 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. And then so it was costly to travel from here. It was more expensive to go it was cheaper to go to Paris from Montreal than to go to Arizona. So it was crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was about $1,000 for a plane ticket. Insane. And so I decided to do another one, but in Maine, because Maine is very close to me. It was 4 hours away, so that was awesome. But finally, I wanted to take this seriously and move forward. And I heard about Feel in Toronto and Horse Spirit Connections, and that was good. That was good. I went there, and you're familiar with it. Well, it's pretty much what we spoke before.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, it's again, you're connecting at the ground level with the horses.
Nina, get her off.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, my cat is chewing my wires.
Oh, I hear that.
Sorry.
I know.
So yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
we just got to get her off the wire. Yeah, so feel, literally
Yeah.
F-E-E-L. What is feel for those people that aren't familiar with feel?
It's a, it's a modality that where you're going to, it's a certification you can obtain to work with horses, connect with horses at the heart level. We don't go into chakras, but we do connect at a heart level. There's a lot of breathing. So you do the body scan, the breathing before you start anything.
Mhm.
You want to drop from your head to your mind, you do. But when I met your program, it was even more dropping. It was literally everything comes from here, from the heart. Everything comes from, the chakras. Of course, I'm still learning about them. I'm right now, I'm in the process. I'm reading chapter 5 of Western, Western mind, Eastern body. No.
Yes, Eastern
Yeah.
Mind, Western,
I
Native
was-
Judith. Yes, my Bible, my energy
Yeah.
Bible, I call it. I love that book.
Oh, it's amazing. And I have to admit, it shakes you a lot. Like when
Will
you're
you go
gone,
grab the book off my desk? Yes,
when-
I'm going to have Sabrina grab the book. Yes.
Yeah, when she's reading through all the chakras, I don't know if anybody else has read it, but wow, it really resonates, and it's tough. It's not easy in the beginning to
Oh,
hear all
yes.
that. Yeah. So I
A lot
discovered.
of the students, a lot of the students in the Mastery membership, they also, everybody's gotten the books. A lot of people that are, our group that shows up all the time on Facebook, they've bought the book. So it's a deep psychological look into the emotions, and how they are attached to your chakra system. So here's the book.
Yeah.
It's called Eastern Body, Western Mind, the Psychology and the Chakra System as a Path to Understanding Yourself.
Yeah.
And it's by Oneida Judith. So it's a thick book. It's a fabulous book. Yes.
Yeah, fabulous book. So I ended up, like everybody else, I think it's through YouTube, through watching so many trainers and saying, and then there was you. And then it was like, huh? Who's she? First of all, where is she? She's very far. No, she's in Florida. Oh, that's not too far. Okay. And then I looked you up, but I didn't even have to look at, I just saw you host your podcast or your training videos. And there was so much softness right there then. There was so much gentleness around those beings. And this is pretty much what I'm about. Like many of us, I've rescued horses, and because nobody saw in their eyes the possibility, I would get phone calls and he's going to the meat factory, or this one's crazy. And I say, okay, I'll come and see, although I can't afford it anymore because I'm separated and I'm on my own. But I went and I would see in the eyes of those horses, like almost as if they would say, please take me home, help me. I'm a good person. I just got trauma.
Yes.
That's all. I'm not crazy, Possibly something that they mirrored in me. I understood it because maybe my life was rock and roll. So by watching you, I realized, okay, a little bit more YouTube videos I watched, I saw that it wasn't just one level of your training, but you took us from the beginning, and that's what you're doing with the mastery program. I'm still starting I'm still in the beginning, because that's what I need to look at in order to understand my horses. I need to understand me.
Yes. Well, let me stop you right there. That's excellent. And I will stop you often, because these are good nuggets of topic and information. So what Eliana is talking about, for those of you that aren't in the Mastery Membership Program, it's the spirituality course that I sell separately, but is also included in the Mastery Membership. It's the foundation of my beingness and how I teach beingness and how I teach you the language of Equus. And so that's what this workshop, right? This week we have a workshop. We have a spirituality workshop. Basically, the intuitive workshop for women and horses is being hosted here at my place this week. So we've got students that are in the Mastery Membership. We actually have one student that isn't in any of the courses, but's been following me. And it's deep. You can't do it alone is the point I'm making. And as much as I tell you guys in our private webinars every week on our private Facebook page for the Mastery membership to review often, and because there's so many layers of information in each lesson, but you still need to work with me. And I know with COVID and whatnot, and your finances with hay being so expensive right now, how many horses do you have, Eliana, right now?
I have 6 horses.
Okay. And yes, but it really coming here and you get this thick workbook that's part of the workshop is just mind blowing, because of the way that I teach you about the first 4 chakras and what their purpose is and how it shows up in your life. And we all have trauma. It's different for everyone. But when we don't acknowledge the trauma and know how to release it, which is what I'm teaching you, then it stays in us. And it's kind of like having a clogged sink. Your chakra system, your spine is like the pipe of a clogged sink. And the clogging of that sink is your emotions, your trapped emotions. And we've got to work through that. We got to let it go. And the beauty of the program that I created is it does start with you, but it's not just about you. It's not just about healing you from the inside out. It's also about healing the horse during this process of healing the 2 of you, because the horses are damaged too. You're also redefining and rebuilding or creating that relationship. And that relationship is the essence, the foundation of my work that carries through to all of your development with your horse. And, I don't like to use the word training anymore, because we're really learning and teaching and developing. We are, and our horses. So I want to change that language. As a pioneer, as a movement, you're part of the movement, you're part of the revolution. Training is so limiting. And, training is so dogmatic, right? I think that's the word I'm looking for. It's like, it's so mechanical. It's like, it's this way or no way. And we're so linear to begin with. We get sucked into that more linear approach to training. And horses, it's not linear. It's very non-linear. And it should be looked at in a non-linear way. But anyway, I can go off on tangents, and I apologize. Yeah, you obviously connected, like everyone else, to the YouTube videos, to what I was presenting. You saw what was deeper than what was the obvious. And it's beautiful. So what is it where you are right now? I know you sent me an outline. You've got these traumatized horses, and you wrote to me that it's what you've learned. Why don't you explain that, how it's helped you with your horses and yourself, what's going on?
Yeah, so having 6 horses, I remember writing to you last year and saying, where do I start? And you said, start with your easiest horse. So my easiest horse, he's had a perfect life. He wasn't with me, he was with this woman who took care of him for years, who raised him, and they went trail riding, really easy, very wealthy. So he had the best saddle, he's a great horse. So he's fine. So I started with him.
Okay, good.
He's fine. I started with him and, started connecting as best as I understood what you were trying to ask. You're trying to teach us through the rider horsemanship documents.
For the Dow horsemanship, I know.
Yeah, I know. I
Yes.
still have the old ones. Yeah, I have the old ones. Yeah.
I haven't updated that. You're not alone. I have yet to update that logo.
Yeah, sorry, I got to change that. Yeah, so with him.
No, you're good. You're good.
With him, it's relatively easy because he has no trauma. He's easy, and we connect. So to the point of even when I was riding with him, but you brought me back to lunging, and that didn't work at all with him. He kept on turning towards me. So I figured it was me. I wasn't placed well, or my chakras were off, or, that didn't work. But what did work is with my traumatized horses, oddly enough. I have a stallion wannabe. He's been gelded. He was gelded 2 years ago after giving birth to the foal that I inherited also because anyways, he jumped the fence and he put 3 mares in pregnant. So
Oh,
I
wow.
helped out. I took the baby, and the baby is not traumatized so far. He's beautiful. He's 2.5. He's huge.
Ah.
He's already 15 hands. But the gelding, his dad is something else. And I remember telling you, he's like behaving like a stallion, getting up on, I don't know how you say it in English, but, rearing in front of me. And he was doing all that, but I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared of him, So what I did is I tried to approach, with the how do you call it?
Horseman's handshake. Mhm.
There you go.
Horseman's handshake.
Yeah. With him, it's a very long process. I have to be patient, which is something that I am not. I hope I'll get patient in this lifetime, and he keeps telling me by his behavior, because he's very fearful. He's a very scared horse. A little sound and he jumps, but he's very curious. And that's why your approach helped me believe that there's potential in there, because he comes to me. I mean, if I take my time and I ground myself and I breathe and I just slow freaking down, he comes to me.
Yes.
And he nudges me, and he'll take my clothes, and I can't really pet him too much. I can scratch him here. Sometimes he'll lean his face on me. I mean, this is improvement.
Yes. The horses have so much to teach us if we slow down and listen. And, anyone can become a good technician. You can learn the skills. But to learn feel and timing, I mean, that's kind of the holy grail of horsemanship. And feel and timing isn't just feel or timing. Feel encompasses many areas. Feel encompasses awareness, becoming tuned in and attuned. Feel is part of a somatic experience that resonates throughout the body. But if we're not aware or tuned in to our body, we don't feel it. Feel also happens when we are engaged, which is why I start with you, the person, in the spirituality course, because I'm teaching you how to engage with your energy and how you feel. So, because especially when you have trauma, to survive, you're always in survival mode, and you push through the fear, and you push through the feeling, and you avoid those feelings. And so through that process of learning to survive, which are defense mechanisms, we stop feeling, we disengage from our bodies. And the horse is always in their body, and the horse is always in their heart chakra. And the horse resonates from the first 4 chakras. They don't resonate from the higher chakras, the enlightened chakras. They resonate from the first 4, which is your first chakra is your earth, your second is water, your third is fire, and your 4th chakra is the heart. And these first 4 chakras, and Anita talks about this, of course, they're about, well, I talk about it like this, but Anita talks about it, they're the chakras that are responsible for getting you back in your body. And for me, it's all about becoming sensory aware. And that's the language of Equus. That's what people aren't teaching. Only I teach that. I've been teaching this for 15 years. That's truly, I'm teaching you how to get back into your intuitive side, your right brain. And that's the spirituality course, so that you can understand in your horse better and best, and you can learn to read them, and you can learn to connect and communicate and create this language, because you're both coming from 2 different languages. And while I'm teaching you guys how to get into the intuitive language of the right brain, you're also, as you graduate from the spirituality course through the mastery membership program and graduate to the 2nd course, that's where we start to engage the horse's left brain, the cognitive side. There's got to be a balance here. It's the yin and the yang right here. We can't all be in the right brain. We can't all be in the left brain. We have to, what's the language? Learning each other's language. And it's just amazing. I mean, in a nutshell, that describes my whole training methodology of being one, thinking one, and riding as one. And you guys are learning that, how to engage that way. And with trauma so often, especially sexual abuse, we women just disengage from our bodies completely. And so it takes time, Eliana. You know, that's why I am so glad that I found this book to share with all of you, because it really, everyone that's read this book, and it's a deep read. I call it like the Bible, like you got to reread it and reread it. And each time you find something new, some new information.
Yeah.
It's really helpful to understand why we do what we do, especially when we're in survival mode because of trauma. And of course, the horse goes there too.
Yeah.
And the horse goes there too. So yeah, stallions are very different. And I know that your stallion he's been gelded now, but the longer they stay a stallion, the harder it is. Is he still a stallion, or is he gelded?
You know, he's gelded. He's gelded.
Is he gelded?
Yes.
Yeah. And you know, and when you geld them, the testosterone can stay in there for 6 months to a year, and some of the behaviors obviously can still be there, even though they are gelded. But you've got to respect a stallion. It's like mares are very different. You've got to understand and appreciate the mare, where she's coming from, and the female, the feminine, the mother. And you also have to understand the stallion, and you have to treat stallions differently because they are aggressive by nature, only because of the testosterone that enables them to be a protector of the herd. This is an intrinsic, inherent, innate quality. And sometimes, you know, depending, even when you castrate them, it stays with them for a while. But I'm just saying, if we come on too strong with stallions, they can come after us. You have to really appreciate that knowledge, like understanding where the stallion is coming from. I think stallions make, and I know that a lot of professional trainers, especially in dressage and probably some of the more unconventional trainers like Klaus Hempling and Nesneroff, and a lot of the, you know, they love the stallion, and stallions are amazing. You know, once you can connect with them and learn how to work with them and develop them, even they can start really skittish. You know, they are just amazing. It's so different. I mean, working with the mare is so different. Working with the stallion is so different, and working with the gelding is so different. It's amazing.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. His name is, I'm just going to tell you, his name is Chancellor. And
Ooh.
his name was Chance. And when he came to me, and there was something about chance, like take a chance on him. I wasn't comfortable with it. And then I meditated, and I got some insight from this extraordinary woman I just met at the shoe store. And we talked, and she says, you know, it's amazing who you meet and where you meet deep people. But anyways,
yes.
Chance does not like his name. I said, okay. So I thought of it, and I can't, you know, it's hard to match something to Chance. But I said, well, he's a chancellor. And we got that from the moment I changed his name. It's, I don't know, maybe stupid what I'm saying, but
No, it's real.
I felt it
It's real.
Yeah, it inhabited his presence. He got respect now, you know, so.
Yes. Oh no, everything you're saying is so real. I so agree with it. I experienced that. You know, that is a beautiful point that you just brought up. I mean, horses are always ready to talk to us, you guys. We just don't know how to hear them or listen. And this woman happened to be a messenger, is what I would call her, a vehicle, you know, she just happenstance, divine intervention, but she came to you for a reason. It's beautiful. I so believe in all of that. And that reason was to better connect with Chancellor and to give him, he brought her to you, basically. He sent her to you. I know, sounds really woo-woo-y, you guys, but this is the stuff I believe in and I totally have experienced. And you have too. So I'm going to support what you're saying completely. Your Chance, he's not Chancellor, but he sent her to you because you needed to hear him. It's so cool. So just think of it this way. You know, still studying the first course of the Mastery Membership Program, the spirituality course. So I'm going to, help you a little bit here. I like to do that with my students that are guest speakers. This is an opportunity for us to talk a little bit if you have a question about something specific. And sometimes we just need a breakthrough, and sometimes we can just stay in the spirituality course a little too long. And if you've been in it for more than 6 months, you definitely need to keep moving forward in the program, but it doesn't mean you can't come back to it. I just don't want you to get stuck. It's a very, very deep course. And again, the lessons are very layered and offer a lot of information, but we're not always ready to receive that information.
No.
So I just don't want you to stay stuck there, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. Can I jump in for a second?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't have a round pen here, okay, at this where I'm at now. And so we have a huge ring, a writing ring. And I tried doing some of the work in there, of course, not now with 3 feet of snow, but it was difficult. It was difficult, I find. And do you think I can still do the program without a round pen, or should I, borrow money to get a round pen?
So I answer your question in the spirituality course. I answer it. I already talk about what you need. And then I also talk more about it in the third course, the problem solving. So this is the deal. A lot of people from all over the world take my courses and they don't have access to a round pen. And because it's just hard to ship, it costs a lot of money. So you have to work in a small space though. You're definitely not going to succeed or set yourself up for success if you work in a large space. You have to work in a small space to help create the vortex, the energy, frequencies. And also much of what you're learning to do is going to confuse your horse and scare your horse or frustrate your horse. And that's a natural process for all of us because we're learning and our horses have triggers. And so if you don't have a round pen, that's fine, but you can create a small space by either choosing a paddock or sectioning off your arena. So you don't need to buy anything and spend a lot of money, Eliana, but if you got some electric tape or fencing or jump standards or barrels or anything that you could section off an area, at least 40 by 40 diameter square. And for me, the round pen is a good 50 to 60 diameter circle for your round pen. But you can create those spaces, but you have to create a smaller space. Enough room for your horse to leave you, to choose to leave you.
Right.
Because that's great information. It's feedback about us, it's information about the horse, but not enough to disengage and not participate. So when you work in these big spaces, you're not ready for them. You want to graduate eventually to that big space, which is total freedom, and your horse is totally with you all the time. Like you see in my videos where they come out at Liberty, and we walk to the training area at Liberty, we tack up at Liberty, but it takes a while to get there. So yeah, you don't need to buy a round pen. I have to use or had to use the big, tall round pens because of all the either wild horses I was working with or really damaged horses who have had horrible experiences being lunged and round penned. So they don't want anything to do with the round pen. And their first inclination, if I just walk into the round pen, is to jump out of the round pen. So that's why my round pen is 6 to 7 feet high and really strong and sturdy because my specialty has been rehabilitation. Right. And then foundation. So you guys, you're not at that level. I'm not saying that your horse isn't going to try to leave you and jump out of a pen. But so be careful because you don't want them getting hurt. So yeah, I recommend a round pen, but if you don't have one, you got to work small and work smart.
Okay. So what I've tried, I have, there are sheds where they have access to. They have access to shelters or shelters that are attached to the barn. They're 40 by 40. So that's where they spend Yeah. So I tried doing work
Okay.
in there, but my wannabe
Yeah.
stallion, he would keep on going in the corners. So he kept on going in the corners and face the corners.
Yeah. That's
What's
yes.
that
So
about?
that's great. That's why we like the round, because it's a continuum. It's and it's also symbolic in Chinese philosophy and medicine. You know, we have like the figure eight. It's a continuum. It's a flow.
Right.
So the corners, horses go in corners to avoid and advert. I mean, they don't want to see you. They're scared to death. So he's putting himself in a corner. So it's kind of like, if I don't see you, you don't see me. That's some horses. Some horses go to the corner because they get stuck in the corner. And also their butt is defense. So they're protecting themselves. So all you have to do is tape the corners and make them concave.
Okay.
Round the corners. And I talk about this in the spirituality course. Just round the corners.
Okay.
And yep, you're good. Or put a barrel there, you know, anything that can help you round that corner so they can't get stuck. And if they get stuck and it becomes a pattern, you've got to use a little bit of the old traditional philosophy that I only use when needed, not all the time, you guys. So I'm going to delicately advise you. That's where you put a little more pressure on them. So you're making the right thing comfortable, the wrong choice of his uncomfortable. Does that make sense? So when he chooses that corner, even though you've taped it, but he's going back to that old pattern because that kept him safe, you go a little more pressure and say, no. You know, so, but be delicate, you know, there's that feel and timing again.
Yeah.
Yes, because you don't want to like stress him out and then he bolts. Yeah.
That was my concern to
Yeah,
continue. Should I continue? Actually, I completely stopped until I was going to speak to you because I don't want to damage anybody. So, and in a space like that, 40 by 40, you're not necessarily, you're in the center, but you know, it's not a huge space where you can actually keep a very nice distance from the horse. I mean, there's about 6 feet. Yeah. He's right there, you know, he's really right there. So I'm going behind him, or not behind him, but.
Well, it depends on the lunging style that I teach, because it's either the close, and then we're working on the shoulder in, or it's the big straightness training. And you don't have so I'm thinking you just have to be clear which lunging style you're working on with him. And it can change in the beginning. You can start out close, but the horse isn't comfortable. So you might have to switch to allowing them to move out and away from you, but you're still guiding that energy, and that becomes in the body. And that is with the lunge whip, which helps to straighten the body and guide the body. So, you know, you're still getting to know these guys and understand how to use the lessons that I'm teaching you, because, you know, they're going to show up a little differently. There's going to be a lot of inconsistencies. That's just the nature of developing, just like it is for us. We're moving out of old patterns and old comfort zones and old normal and old stories and trauma, and we're trying to adopt a new normal, a new comfort, a healthier way of feeling and being. And it goes back and forth for a while. Definitely. So have patience. Have patience.
Yeah. And is that okay if I film myself? I finally got a camera with a holder, or and I'll be able to
tripod.
send it. Tripod, a manual tripod, or Okay,
good. Yeah, and I recommend that throughout the program. You know that when you get to the practice sheets in the second course, I'm like, please film yourself, even if it's for 30 seconds. And it's just for you. And of course, we can do a video coaching call. Absolutely. Absolutely. But, you know, most importantly, film it for yourself too. And then you can take a look at that video and look at what I'm showing you in the lesson and compare, because you're training your eye. And that has to happen first. You know, that's another big dogma myth that, you know, we get sucked into in horse training as students is, my God, that looks so good. And the video is showing us a quick way to achieve it. And there is no quick way. I can give you, like I've started this year, Yeah, there is no quick way because there's so many things to think about and understand, and we're being seduced constantly into and it's really horrible because it's a bait and switch, where we think we can do this, and people are choosing the right words to make us think we can do it, but there's so much more to it. And why aren't we starting out with study? I mean, we got to train our eyes. We have to understand the principles and the concept, as well as develop the eye, which still is always developing, before we actually do it, before we actually practice and apply. We need to learn better. We need to learn better. So that's my biggest frustration doing what I'm doing as a teacher, is I'm up against, nobody else is teaching it like I am. And it's wrong, it's quick fixes, and, it's still mechanics and habituation and operant conditioning with negative reinforcement, which is that pressure and release or make the right thing easy and the wrong thing difficult.
Yeah, I find it superficial.
Yes.
It's not deep, it's superficial. It's not really connecting at a deep level.
Yeah, no, it's not deep at all.
It's just to get a result,
No, it's about money. It's
Yeah.
about money.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
the horse trainers out there that are selling it that way, well, either they're stupid, uneducated, purposely not teaching you what they know, but because they want to keep luring you into spending more money. I mean, we have that in every occupation. It's not just horse training. Every occupation can be like that. You have different types of farriers. Some they're real basic and do a basic job, and then you have more specialized farriers. Same with vets. You have vets that know a lot about a lot of things, and you have vets that just specialize. You have that in every industry.
Yeah.
Every industry.
You have to recognize
so
it.
Horses aren't different.
You have to know how to pick it up.
Yes,
and recognize
absolutely.
It.
Or some.
Yeah, and you said it's all about the eyes.
Yeah.
The eyes have to observe, and yeah, absolutely. The video you posted this morning, by the way, or last night, just you call them nuggets, I think, or midgets, or with the Mustang, was amazing.
Snippets.
I mean, snippets.
Oh.
Yes, those were really good for us to see. Sorry, it's my French. I'm French, right? So sometimes I use the wrong words.
Oh, no, you're good. No, Sabrina was talking to me. She's like, did you see it? And I haven't seen it yet.
Oh,
so
you have to see it.
That's all. No, you're good. Your French is beautiful.
My French,
okay, yeah. I will. So, thank you. But
yeah, it's good.
No, go ahead, Eliana. What did you see in the video of the Mustang?
That you showed us. You showed us how, like I have a 2.5-year-old, so it was great to see that, just to see how you're doing it, how our teacher is doing it. So I was observing, I think I watched it like 7 times. I kept on watching and watching and watching and seeing how you position yourself, how you wait for the horse, and if you respond, it's so important for us to see and take the time. Just take the time to get it at this level.
Yeah. And I do believe you guys that are listening to this podcast, your students, whether you're students of my courses or my videos on YouTube, let me know. I need feedback. So this is good to hear. I think when it's a blessing that we got this opportunity, number one, to work with this Mustang. And it's also part of manifesting. It's really cool how all of this worked out, because I have new fencing in my training area, and the fencing got done days before this Mustang came, and a week before my workshop. And what I'm trying to say is that I need my round pen for my workshop. And my round pen, and then yet I have a new training, a Liberty area that just got built for my workshop. I didn't even know this Mustang was coming. And so it was just beautiful that I had this space to be able to quarantine him and be able to work with him at the same time. And then Sabrina and I were talking around the holidays last year. months, like November-ish, October, gosh, what's 2021 going to look like? And I'm like, oh, you got all these courses we still have to develop and promote. But I'm like, wow. And Sabrina's like, why don't you do a Mustang, Caroline? Why don't you do the Mustang makeover? And I'm like, hell no, because there's no time limit. You should never train a horse in a time limit. And believe me, I've had horses come to me for years and the minimum was 90 days. And I made sure in all of my contracts that if I'll evaluate the horse, I will do my assessment, and I'll be able to know that first day, that assessment, whether that horse is going to be where that horse is going to be in 90 days. But do not expect X, Y, and Z in 90 days. Do not, because you can't put a time limit on it. And so when we were blessed to get this Mustang and this opportunity to work with a fresh, raw, wild horse who we don't know his history. We're still trying to identify the age. But he was going to the kill pen. We know that he's skinny as skinny can be, and he's weak, and he's anywhere between 3 and 5. And he was either born in the feedlots, the containers, when they round up the Mustangs and they don't know what to do with them, because he wasn't afraid of humans. And I've worked with wild horses that you could not go in that round pen. They were either going to come after you because one of them was a stallion, or they were, going to be jumping over that round pen. So he wasn't that feral, but he had no handling. He never had a halter on him, and he still doesn't right now. But the point I'm making is, I'm like, my God, if that comes to me, I thought it would come in 2021. It did, but later on, I'm like, it would be beautiful to show everyone how you earn a horse's trust. And from that trust, you build to the point. I know Tilia in our program, could have used this advice in this videos last year when she acquired that yearling, that feral baby that lost its mother, because she had to, I gave her the best advice I could in coaching. Put her in a round pen. You're going to have to work on this, that, and the other. But now I get to show it. And it should be a very slow process. We're not in any hurry. I took this Mustang with my own stipulations: no cowboying, no running, no manhandling, no throwing down, no hobbling, nothing. And we're fine, obviously. But yeah, I'm really super excited to be able to film this and share how you earn a horse's trust. And it becomes his choice to tell you when he's ready for the next thing and what the next thing should be in a very realistic chronological order, because he's had no grooming, he's had nothing, no haltering. So how do I get to the haltering if he can't even let me touch him? And doing it without force and manhandling. He's definitely been thrown down, especially to get castrated, because of the way he moves. And I point this out in the videos. You guys are only getting snippets, but some of the filming's an hour to an hour and a half. So he's really wonky. His tail's crooked. He's weak. He has no muscle, but I'm sure his top line is damaged, his axis. He needs some good chiropractic work. But thank you for that. Yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with the film. To me, it's not a course. It's not a course. I'm not going to sell it as a course. I haven't talked to anybody except Sabrina about this. The owner doesn't even know, but I'm going to ask the owner if she'd like to choose a Wild Mustang nonprofit organization, and I'd like to sell this footage as a documentary, and with proceeds as much as we decide to go towards the wild horse programs, or whatever equine nonprofit rescue we choose. But I could cry talking about it. Yeah, it's not a course. This is the way. God, there's so much to talk about. That honoring horses. Ay, sorry. this is so near and dear to my heart. You know, I've spent so many years saving horses, and then I got burnt out, and now I have this opportunity. And I'm just so proud that we can film it and share it. I just am not sure, you know, how we're gonna.
Yeah.
Rebecca, it's a course on trust, girl. Yeah, it could be a course on trust. I don't know. You know, we'll figure it all out together. You know, we'll figure it all out together. Yeah, documentary. Pretty cool. But I wanna sell it to get proceeds too. You know, I wanna give back. So yeah, it's a big deal. Breaks my heart. I'm just love these people for saving this little guy and they saved an older wild Mustang, 14. So she had been in and out of captivity and domestication. Again, you know, skinny as shit and weak and sweet. And she had shipping sickness. This little guy is healthy because he's not stressed. That's a good thing. But this poor mare, she'll be okay. But God, it breaks your heart. What the hell kind of life? I mean, and I've heard of that because I pay attention to these things, you know, I'm always out there searching, and it's like it's like when I used to take care of the wild Chincoteagues, and people would buy these babies, like during the Chincoteague roundup and sale every July, and they buy these babies like they're a freaking backyard dog, and then they grow up, and that's how I get them, and they haven't done anything with them because they don't know anything about horses. They've treated them like a dog. Now this large pony stallion is coming after them, coming after their kids, can't handle them, knows nothing, is still feral, living in their backyard. And it's so sad because, you know, then they get, if I don't find out about them and go and rescue them, then where do they go? They go back to the pen, or then they go to someone else. They just get passed around, and then they end up in the kill pen. And it just blows my mind.
Yeah, and that's kind of, that's why I end up with these horses. It really, you know, thank you for being emotional, because I'm alone and I'm looked at, and I'm sure other girls who do the same are looked at, what are you doing with all these horses? I get asked this every 2 months. What are you going to do with all these horses? What are you going to do? They're doing nothing.
I am so sick of that. Thank you. I am so sick of it. We talk about it all the time. We talk about it during this workshop. Number one, shut the fuck up, people, and stay out of my business. Stay out of your business. I'm sick of it. So you rescued those horses, Eliana. We all have the right to rescue animals. People rescue cats all the time and dogs all the time. Of course, we can't ride them. But when we rescue a horse, if we're not riding them, then it's not productive. They look at these animals like freaking livestock, like a piece of shit. And I am done with this shit. And I mean, let's stand up and let's say, shut the fuck up. Seriously, mind your own business. This isn't any different than saving any other animal. And you know what? That gives me joy, and that gives this animal joy. And you don't have to do anything, Eliana, as long as you can afford it, but create a sanctuary for them. A place where they feel safe, and they give you peace and you give them peace. That's God, isn't that what we all want in this world? Is peace and ease and happiness and well-being and acceptance, and to feel safe. For God's sakes, what is wrong with us?
Yeah. Yeah, that's on a monthly basis.
No, you'll get me hot on that. Yeah, so, you know, I'm giving you guys permission to cuss and seriously just say, and I know a lot of you won't do that, and that's fine, that, you know, I will, but just say, you know what? What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I'm so tired of people flipping it on us. No, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Where's your mindset? I don't need to have a horse. I don't need to ride a horse to have a horse. Okay? It's my pet. It's my family member. It is whatever the fuck I choose. Okay? How about that?
You know, my dear friend, it's easier said than done, because sometimes I hear you, you know, speak up, and I wish I could speak like that. But when you're a 50-year-old woman with no kids, living alone in the forest, my house in the forest, renting a property,
I love it.
renting a property with 6 horses in your village. You're relatively new. If you say that, I'm gonna have all the rednecks come by and shoot me. You know what I mean? They're already making fun of us. You know, it's the blonde with the Jeep there.
Oh,
You know what I
no.
mean? It's so easy to judge. I'm not part of, a lot of us are not
No.
part of the typical, you know, how do you say, woman. It's like they call it, oh, she's going through a midlife crisis.
Conventional.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine they call it a midlife crisis because we have horses. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. You are so right, though. You are correct. I agree. I agree. You guys have to. You can't, I can do it because it's who I am, and I have a platform, and
Yeah.
and I get it. And you guys have to be careful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'll be your voice, and then think of I call it positive manipulation. Think of a win-win situation where you can kill them with kindness. You can still say it to them that, well, you know, this is my business and I'm here to save the horses, and, you know, take it as far as you need to take it.
Yeah.
Or don't take it. Don't go there at all.
Yeah. Yeah. I just
Oh
smile.
yeah, I love that. The crazy old cat lady. That's right. I used to be the crazy cat lady many, many years ago because I always had a ton of cats. And then when I got back into horses, my brothers are like, now you're the crazy horse lady.
That's it.
How many horses do you have now, Caroline? I was 17.
Wow.
Oh, Lydia, horses have principles. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest commonalities for all of us is, or common thread in this particular situation where you feel so alone and nobody understands why you're doing what you're doing, is figuring out what your voice needs to be, your voice, not my voice, you know, where you need to be that is comfortable enough and safe enough for all of you, each of you independently, because the work that you're doing with me, you know, sets you apart. And on the outside, it may look similar to a lot of other methods, or specifically some natural horsemanship, but it's not. It is way more than that. And it's hard. That's why we have this community of people all over the world, obviously, but it's hard, and I appreciate that. So just find your voice and the message that works for you, that allows you to put boundaries up, so people don't keep, you know, telling you what you need to be doing. So that's, I think, yeah, you got to be careful. Okay. You got to be careful.
You know what my goal is? What I tell myself when they're saying that? In 5 years from now, you'll come to me with one horse of yours. You won't know what the hell to do with it. And maybe, I'm hoping in 5 years, I'll have it down pat. And then we'll talk and see if I'm the crazy horse lady, you know? That's my goal.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I love that. I love that. You could also,
I don't know if it makes sense.
Like, yeah. It does. It does. I'm thinking now, parlaying that into, you know, I always, when someone has an issue with me, not understanding me or understanding what I do, I try to find like an example or a commonality. Like, you know, I ask them a question like, well, what's your favorite animal of choice? And they'll say, oh, I love my dog. Well, my horse is like your dog is to you. And they may look at me like, well, it's a horse, you know, oh, and I'm like, and they don't really for me because they know what I do for a living, right? So they kind of don't go there. But I know for you guys, they do. And so if you can find some way for them to relate to why you're doing what you're doing, then it'll click for them. I think that's really important. If you can find out how what you're doing can relate to what something they do in their life, then they'll make that connection. They'll hopefully understand. And I think that's important. You know, I can sit there and say, fuck off and shut up, but really I don't want to be that way. You know me, I can be confrontational. It's very easy for me, but I don't want to be that way. I think if we can come at it in a much better way of finding a commonality, obviously, and a common thread that connects us, that's really important. I don't want division. You know, I want us to be able to all connect. And and understand, and even if we don't understand each other, to respect each other's differences. So, you know, maybe that'll work if you can get to know these people that are so adverse, and do a little bit of reverse psychology, so to speak, and say, you know, your truck is beautiful. I love your truck. Really sharp. Yeah, it's kind of the way I feel about my stallion. He's beautiful. Man, he just makes me feel like I got a diamond ring on my finger. You know, I don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, people get caught up. Yeah, I mean, people get caught up in brands and names and recognition. That's their identity. And so, you know, a lot of people, what you're talking about is like an identity crisis. You know, it's like, well, I can't identify with you. You know, so yeah, you gotta look at it a little differently.
Yeah.
You got it though, girl, and you're not alone. I hope I get to come to Canada. It would be awesome if I can get up there.
Yeah, well,
I don't know if I will this year.
Well, I don't know. Well, we're looking into organizing something here, but I don't know. We have to wait for the borders to open.
Oh my gosh.
Well, because you're going to drive up. If you fly up, you can fly up. Yeah.
Oh, I would fly. I would never drive. I'm in Florida. Are you crazy? I would fly. Oh my gosh.
I thought you would bring one of your master horses. Your school master.
Yeah. Oh no. No, I wouldn't do, you know what? I wouldn't do that. I used to when I had my other location in Vermont, and I would come up from Florida or wherever I was, but in my older age.
Oh, wow.
And you know, my driving, yeah, there's a lot to talk about there. I don't know if I would do that. I would have to be up, to be worth my while, because I've been asked to come to California too. To be worth my while, I would have to be able to stay for like 2 weeks and have enough business to make it worth my while, to give my horses an opportunity to decompress and whatnot. I just would, yeah, I wouldn't put my horses through that unless I could do it a certain way, because it's really stressful, you guys. And I don't, my Trinity no longer does that. Smokey's gone, Legend's crippled. Sundance would not be doing that. So now I'd be bringing a whole new line of horses that have never traveled with me. And that you could really screw your horses up. They have to get used to that balancing act. It takes time. They've got to get used to traveling a lot with you and knowing that you're right there. You just can't do it like that. It shouldn't be done like that. It's different when you are transporting a horse and you're saving a horse. I mean, believe me, there's a lot of cool stuff, and you got to get them to where they're headed. But there's a lot to talk about. But yeah, I mean, if we had enough to do seminars, I mean, I can travel to do seminars and enough, you know, clinic or private work and training. Oh, it'd be beautiful. I would think about it for sure.
Okay.
I would think about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. I need somebody to drive though.
Rena.
I'd be falling asleep. Yeah, I'd be falling asleep. Yeah, thanks, Sabrina. That's true. Not me. The truck, I tell you, I was talking to the girls, you know, I can't drive long distances anymore because it puts me to sleep.
Me too.
Either as a passenger, or driving or flying. I just love it. It just puts me right in that endorphin dopamine. I just go right out. Just like that. As soon as the plane takes off, I fall asleep. It feels good. And driving, it's so hard. Even with the music cracked, you know, or cranked, and you've got the window cracked open and you're talking to somebody, I'm still like, oh my God, I gotta pull over and take a nap. Anyway, wow. Is there anything else you want to talk about, my dear, before we wrap this up?
I'm just gonna look at my notes. I think you've answered pretty much everything.
Good.
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. Oh, thank you. I love
you.
this. I love talking with you guys and you sharing your stories, because we all can relate to so many pieces of each other's stories. And then we find this interconnectedness that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
ladies.
you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, before we quit, any questions, Sabrina, from anybody?
Not really.
Okay, just a
Everybody's
lot of
just
sharing.
sharing,
Yay, they're loving it. They're loving it, Eliana. It's beautiful.
Oh,
Yes.
good,
Love
good,
it.
good. Maybe we can do something in Vermont and then everybody can come there. Sorry, I'm just reading. and
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
or yeah,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I've been asked already about my clinic schedule for the rest of this year, so I need to get out a couple of things. And one of them is an email to all of you to see who wants me where, because I have a limited amount of time this year to travel.
Right.
And you know, and if we can collectively meet somewhere, then you know, it would be
Yeah.
awesome. It would be awesome.
Yeah, through the summer up north.
Yeah, and we don't want to be here in the summer in Florida. No.
Yeah.
Come up to
Yeah,
Vermont. It's
summer's my
perfect.
time to leave.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Vermont.
Yes, it would be
yeah.
perfect.
And some of us
But-
can meet you in
Yeah.
Vermont because it's really easier. Yeah. Did you hear me? Yeah.
But I don't have a location in Vermont anymore.
No, but I can find one for you.
Yeah, no, I don't have a location in
No.
Vermont.
Yeah. I have a few.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Yay, I love
got
Vermont.
this.
I love Vermont.
Oh, good, good.
Awesome.
Good. Okay.
All right. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Mwah.
Thank you.
Sending love to you, all of you. Okay, bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thanks.
you,
Bye-bye.
Eliana.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.